Magic button.
Hey, we're live. Who knew? Hey, welcome to Sermon from the German. But before we start the show, let's do this.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
Hey, and we're back, everybody. Welcome to the show. How exciting is this?
What?
Wow, what? Whoa. This is why this man is a celebrity, everybody. This is a global guy.
My finger is on the pulse. I know what's going on.
This guy is ready to go. I mean, if it wasn't for him, you ask him, he'll tell you he's a big celebrity. But he's raring to go today, ladies and gentlemen. So we're very excited.
Yeah.
So
I don't
our
know.
once a
Famous
month
in his own
show.
bathroom.
I've got the TV on in the background, so you know. So
Is that how you're going to do your show today?
That's it. I'm
Yeah.
literally
Is that
just
how we're
going to
doing
read
the
the
show?
headlines. I'm going to read the
Oh,
headlines
good.
off the TV.
It's nice that the show's so spontaneous then.
Yes. Like, what's going on with the show today? And he's going to let me read it off the teleprompter.
I don't know. Seriously, let's read it off the TV. Well, let's read it. BBC News, Gaza ceasefire agreement due to come into effect is what it's saying on the TV right now. There's a bloke reporting live from Istanbul right now. So that's what's going on.
Because that's nowhere near the Gaza Strip, is it? I mean, but there you go.
I don't know why. I don't know why he's in Istanbul, but he's in Istanbul.
Well, because if you're going to have peace in the Middle East,
actually, this is more interesting. I just saw a headline: Rishi Sunak to join Microsoft to work on AI.
Well, we got that going for us.
Our former prime minister has finally got himself a paying job. Oh, good boy.
Finally.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's what you become prime minister for.
Because he couldn't spell Facebook, is what it was.
What happens? All our politicians end up going to social media because we had the Lib Dems guy, didn't we? He's at Facebook.
Yeah.
So
well, here's an interesting thing. As we're talking about the guys going to Facebook, as we're talking about Facebook and AI and the Palestine and the Hamas and the peace and the and the Trump. But what everybody's forgetting is the alien rock A134-673469-2 is coming here to kill us. So next week.
That's a very specific lineup of numbers, right?
Yeah, I know. Well, sure, because I think I only got the first three right. But AI.
Because what that infers is like how many others have there been?
Yes, right, many. So, but the Chinese, because you can trust everything the Chinese and the Russians and the in Japan and India say, they said that the characteristics of A-31, whatever, or -3, whatever the heck it's called, keeps slowing up, stopping, and making. Listen. If you want to get technical like a real show, you do that. Anyway, it was saying that the AI Atlas. Thank you there, Roger Mudd, aka Walter Cronkite. It's sort of like it's stopping, slowing, making left turns and right turns. So the Chinese and everybody are like, we should be weary of this. And I'm like, if it's doing that,
well,
it's coming from.
It depends. It depends. Yeah. It depends if it's the Klingons or the Vulcans.
Oh my God!
It's as simple as that. Because if it's the Klingons, then we're in trouble. If it's the Vulcans, let me just say, long and prosper.
I'm okay because I've been building an ark in my cellar for quite a while.
Sorted. Can I come and join you then?
Yeah, plenty of room on there. We'll everybody in 2 by 2.
Where's your Moses beard?
Yeah, David. Where's your Moses beard?
Guys, you got it all wrong. This is the Church of England.
I was going to say, aren't you Church of England?
We're mixing all the books today. We're mixing all.
Yeah, well, we might as well because when you start talking about Palestine,
there's only one book. There's only one book.
That is true, and it's the one that the Federal Reserve puts out quarterly. And that's the only book.
Yeah,
oh, yes, I'm sorry. Let's get a close-up of this book, ladies and gentlemen. There it is.
There's only one book, and it's the ULEZ files. Get it now.
That's the book. That's the book. That is.
Don't shamelessly,
plug yourself like that. But yeah, feel free. So, thank God.
The AI Atlas. Is that?
No, forget about the AI app. The point is, like, there's world peace. We're all brothers now. We're all friends now. We can be friends now.
Yeah, but what I want to know is that if this rock came from space, right, and it travelled into city London, would it have to pay? Would it have to pay? Some sort of
Yeah,
ULEZ
that's pay.
tax.
Yeah, that's pay ULEZ because it's probably not emissions compliant. Definitely not.
Ah, right.
Yeah. So
Well,
definitely they'd
that's
have to
off.
pay ULEZ.
That's
So that would thwart the alien invasion then and there, right there, because they'd just be stopped, going, "Sorry, mate, can't come in. You got to pay ULEZ.
yeah.
You got to sign up. Go online. Go no. Go online. Sign up. Right. That's it. Got your credit
And
card. You ain't got a credit card. Go to the bank. Right. Sort that out. Then sign on.
Yeah.
Then make sure you got your ULEZ. Then you can come into London, and then we can have a bit of a Barney and decide who's in charge. Right. Yeah. Meanwhile, sort of. Sorry, I slipped
and
into
the other
the
thing,
there. Sorry.
yeah,
No,
and here's
I
the other
was gonna say,
thing. It doesn't have a license plate, so it can't even come into London. They have the license
Oh
plate.
right, yeah. You need license plates on the front, and this ain't America, mate.
Right.
This ain't America.
yeah.
It's got to be on the front and the back. All right. So
There you
go and
go.
sort
That's
it.
right.
So that's the problem.
It's-
But yeah,
And,
once-
so
Yeah.
when are you starting in Mary Poppins? Is that that's your next?
There
That's
we
your
go.
next
Are you going to do Dick Van Dyke's? Are you doing Dick Van Dyke's part of Mary Poppins?
oh
Are
come
you gonna
on,
be
give me
singing?
some credit. I'm actually a Londoner, so
I know. Can I tell you, your Cockney accent? Inside. I'm crying. I mean that. Inside, I'm crying. So
Yeah, so a lot of Cockneys as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
so are a lot of fans that are watching the show.
So is the rest of London.
Yeah.
They're like, what the hell?
Well, actually, to be
they're all-
honest,
they're all- they're all
these
mutton
days,
anyway, so-
nobody in London speaks like that anymore. Anyway, we all speak like
That's
this
true.
now. Everybody talks
Yeah.
like this
Yes.
now because London has been taken over by Sharia law, according to Trump. So therefore,
Okay.
So we all talk like Welshmen now. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's it. That's it. All talk like Tom
my
Jones.
God. Oh, well, that's okay. Now that they all sing like Tom Jones, because then it'd be cool because you'd be like, it's so about, I can't do it.
The
Never
voice,
mind.
man. The voice. I
Yeah.
tell you what, even today, he's incredible, isn't he? His voice
He's
is just
900 years old. I saw him in concert when I was in my 20s.
something. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
990 something. But when he picks up a
What?
mic, even now,
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, that guy
He
is
is.
giving it 100. Oh, the phone call has come through. That's it.
That's Tom
That's it.
Jones. It's either A1 Atlas or Tom Jones calling him.
It's not unusual.
Yeah.
It's not unusual.
Yeah, it is unusual. Hello, yes, Tom.
There
Tom,
you go.
Tom.
There he
Tom?
goes. Tom Jones calling, ladies and gentlemen.
Tom.
Oh,
Moto.
why, Delilah? Why?
Yeah, why? Oh
Tom,
my
Why
God.
don't you just go? Yeah,
Hey, can you listen, old guy? Do you think
Oh.
you can learn how to use technology while we're doing a live show?
Seriously,
Just
we
thought
are
I'd
the
ask.
old guys
no,
with
I've just
technology right now.
found out who it is. It's a guy called Mr. Spam. He calls
Mr.
me
Spam. Okay, he's
Yeah,
a Nigerian
Well,
prince.
it's still more
According to
agreeable.
T-Mobile, he's called Mr. Spam. So
It's still
Okay.
more agreeable to take a phone call from Mr. Spam than it is from Mr. Trump, I suppose. Israel approves Trump's plan, so this is what's helping now.
Does that mean they're
Netanyahu-
going to develop Gaza Strip into like the new Atlantic City? Because we know
That's right, yeah,
that
yeah.
went.
Gaza
So-
is going to become the new Las Vegas. Going to have
my God.
drugs and gambling and
How exciting!
Be normal.
brothels, everything. It's all happening now.
What brothels? I'm on my way.
You're there.
So, you for that with some cigars and scotch. I'm on a plane in an hour.
Hold me back.
That's right. Someone hold me back. I'm getting on the plane. But you know what's interesting? I was reading because I do read. I was very excited about that.
That's cool.
That I know. Well, who knew? I just don't look at the pictures. That Saudi Arabia, which is right around that little area of conflict, is decided to relax property rules so they can start competing with the UAE about bringing foreign investment in. And I was like, you're going to have to do a little more than relax property rules because, when you go into Dubai or Abu Dhabi, it's like almost going into like Las Vegas for adults. And Saudi Arabia is still a little, I don't want to be, kind of that like, I don't know, 15 BC kind of law.
Saudi Arabia is trying really hard to be like the new UAE, but I don't think it can ever quite go that distance because there's still an element of a quite strict proportion of their society that just won't allow that sort of thing. So I think that's why they're creating that northern sort of exclusion sin zone, aren't they? This is the sin zone part of Saudi Arabia that they're making. The NEOM city or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
well, they're having a problem with that.
They're having
$500 million later, and they still can't get themselves off the ground.
That wall is getting shorter and shorter, isn't it? That wall that they were going to build through the desert.
Well, the whole thing. we got called 5 or 6 years ago from somebody that was like helping run it, and they were like, "Could you help?" And we were like, "You revamp the whole." They had like every major consulting firm, and we were like, "You have to revamp this whole thing and get rid of everybody, because all these people you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to every month are just there giving you a bunch of bull." They're like, "Oh, do that." No, it's like you just need someone to come in and go, "Do this, do that, and be done." And that's it. And what happens is we read through these reports and they all contradicted each other. I'm like, no wonder you can't build anything. I'm like, you just need like 5, 6 people that have a clue, come in, run it, and be done. Like even the head now, they replaced the Westerner with a Saudi, back to a Westerner. I think there's a Saudi running it again. Yeah. It's just so full of bureaucracy that nothing's getting done. I'm like, it's not that hard. You just come in and just go A through Z, boom, 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 and you can build it in 5 years, if you will. I mean, you have the money.
This is it. And I think this is where the UAE is quite successful because, you know, when they decide, I mean, literally they go build it and it just gets built. It just happens, you know. I mean, literally the Burj Khalifa, you know, I got there in 2006. It was still a building site. You know, and then and you drive by there and you would just see it getting taller and taller and taller, and you just see the whole area just getting changed. And it was just incredible, the pace of, you know, and it wasn't just, you know, because people think it's just the tower. It wasn't just the tower, it was that entire area was built. All the buildings around it, everything. Yeah, the whole area was built, you know. And it was just absolute, the whole mall, you know, it was just incredible.
Oh, that mall is crazy.
Yeah,
the mall is crazy. Have you the best part about that mall? Because we stay at the Palace downtown, so you know you can walk to the mall. Because God forbid, we used to stay at the Ritz on the Water. Take 7 hours to get there. Because as great as Dubai is, they forgot to build like super highways. Because now it's like too many people, too many cars. But the greatest thing about that mall is to watch the people get out of their Rolls Royce or whatever luxury car, and have the golf cart, at least whether it looks like a Porsche or blah, 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 drive them to the store, because God forbid you should walk, and shop, load their golf cart up with their packages, drive them back to the car so their feet never touch the ground. The other thing, which I thought was the funniest thing, is when you walk into there, is like there's a Louis Vuitton on the first floor, and above that on the second floor, there's another Louis Vuitton. And then on the third floor above the first, there's another Louis. And on the fourth floor, there's a Louis. And you look at that and you're like, seriously? And I asked somebody in the Louis Vuitton store, also there's the Gucci store that way. And the Prada, they're all, and I said, why do you do that? And the girl with a straight face goes, well, God forbid they should walk. And I'm like, excuse me. She's like, you know, because of the parking there, depending on what level you park at, depends on the store you go to, I guess. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, this is to just.
Be fair, the parking at Dubai Mall is the worst because you can never find your car.
Well, no, that's why you valet.
You just buy another one. You just buy another one.
I was going to, yes. Like, can't find your car? Come on, we have the car garage over here. You want a Rolls? There you go. You could take it. But it's on, and now with the valet there is hysterical too. That's why I'm staying at the Palace downtown was the ultimate, because I could just walk to wherever I wanted to do. But I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, everything there.
The palace is the one that's built it's like a fake palace, isn't it? It's like completely and built like a fake old palace.
A fake palace, gorgeous, and the staff couldn't be nicer.
It's got that courtyard inside, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It does. Got the courtyard.
I did a shoot in there once. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
And the guy who at the afternoon gives you tea. And the guy who gives you the tea and the little desserts in the afternoon, the dates, it's a beauty. And then you just walk underground, across the bridge, and you're right at the Burj Khalifa, and you're at the whatever. And we did the Burj Khalifa. We did the VIP where you go to the top of the top.
Yeah.
You know, 167 floors up. Yeah. You touch the moon, and you see the curvature of the earth, and you're just standing there looking over the edge, and you see vast of nothing, if you will. And then on the other side, you see everything. But we were there when they were
designed then for people who have dementia.
Yes, they did.
If you have tea and date, so you have to know what date it is. Is that why they have that service down there?
Yes, that's true, David. That's true. Yes, we just agree with him because we took him out of the home.
Just nod.
You know. Yeah.
But the question is, can you see Gaza from the top of there? That's the question, isn't it? Right.
And you're making peace now, so you
probably will be able to when they build another Trump Tower, of course.
I was just going to say they're going to build a big Trump Tower over there, and you'll be able to see Gaza.
Gold Trump Tower. There you go.
Oh my God.
That is crazy. So anyway, so the point is that supposedly we actually have a ceasefire.
Well, if
when?
they have to return the hostages.
They're still bombing. They're still bombing them. That's so.
That
but
was
there's a
tragedy.
ceasefire and a ceasefire.
There was a tragedy because there was a woman yesterday. There was a young mother who posted yesterday. She was like so happy. She was so excited that there's peace and this and that, and the bombing has stopped. And then she posted a little bit later on. It's like, no, they're still bombing. It's like, what's going on? What's happened?
They are still bombing.
Right.
As far as I understood it this morning, is that they're still waiting for the Israeli government to define where the yellow line is.
But I thought they signed off on it last night.
Well, they signed off on it, but it hasn't been defined. Where the yellow, there will be a yellow line, but nobody knows exactly where that yellow line is. And then when that's defined, they will pull the troops back, and then they'll feel safe to have a complete, ceasefire for about 2.5 minutes, and then off we go again. So,
but what's really funny? If you read ancient history, before David, probably the time David was born. But if you go back 10,000 years, let's say, the Palestinians.
I was still building the ark then. So.
I know. I heard you. Moses called the other day. He needs his hammer back. But if you read the history of that region, back in the day, the Palestinians, if you will, the Muslims, the Jews, the Catholics, Christians, all the fake religions other than the Jews and the Muslims. All those make-believe things you stole from these two other religions, they all got along. It's not until the church came along that all of a sudden they were like, you should all kill each other. It's kind of like nobody cared back then. It's like they all did their thing. They all did this. They all did that. And all of a sudden, the Church of England people, the guy with the funny hat, the shoes, the guy very flamboyant guy comes out and goes, hi, I'm the Pope. And then they decide to kill each other.
That's why we got rid of him, because he was just a troublemaker.
Yeah, well, apparently, because your Church of England's doing great with the crusades and stuff. How's that going?
No. We were sort of, I think the Brits did their contribution, but whether or not they were, I think that's pre-Reformation anyway.
Are you talking about Churchill drawing the lines in the Middle East on a napkin because he was smoking cigars and drinking scotch? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's
it's interesting that you bring that out, because this is what I worry about now. Because now that they talk about the whole, but we'll bring in somebody to govern the place. Oh, well, you know what? Tony Blair's not doing anything. Let's get him over. Let's get him to. And
Trump's going to be the chairman.
But this is the thing. It's like you're just seeing like Balfour Part 2. Do you know what I mean? It's like, let's just get all the Western powers in and let them decide what to do with these natives. And it's like, no, let the natives decide what to do with the natives. You know what I mean? It's like, are we going through this whole process again? Are we going to make the same mistakes that history keeps teaching us not to do over and over again?
I think the issue is, of course, is that Hamas is not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
It may change its name. It may give away, a whole load of old weaponry, but they ain't going anywhere fast. And then the thing that's left over then are all these tribes. There are lots of clans already in that area, and they're going to end up fighting each other again. And Israel's just going to be sitting there watching it all happen.
My question is that in the great words of Danny DeVito, money talks and bullshit walks. And there's a lot of money in the region, as we've just talked about what Dubai can do in a day and what Saudi Arabia is planning to do. And now what I still don't understand is that, well, instead of the Western powers coming, instead of a Tony Blair or whatever coming in and going, why don't they just get a cooperation between the Gulf states and say, right, well, you take over. And because you have so much money, you can just buy Hamas and just tell them, oi, stop it. We're taking over.
Well, they're basically finished with Hamas. So that's just it.
Yeah.
But,
Qatar did that, though. Qatar did that, right? Because
Qatar is the only country that's really.
Qatar
has literally put itself on the line this time. To be fair to them, to be fair to them.
They did.
On the line.
And Israel's like, you want to harbor some Hamas people? No problem. We're just going to bomb Doha. That was like,
do you think that was the red line? Do you think that's what spurred Trump into action?
Yes. Oh, I think at that point, I think they all got on their little bat phones and was like, hey, it's okay when you bomb, Palestine. It's okay to bomb Gaza. It's okay to do this. But
Lebanon,
now you're coming into
Syria.
Right. It's okay.
Iran,
right. You bomb all those places, but now you get into Doha, where people have money, Or you get into, because Doha,
and they gave me a nice plane. They gave me a nice little plane.
Yeah, nice plane, right? And you get 30 seconds away from, UAE, because literally that's a 20-minute flight from Doha, and then one of those gets it's 2 minutes.
It's also the largest American military base in the world, isn't it?
Right, but it's amazing how we didn't do anything. We just sat there and let them buy. So we had to get a phone call, and they're like, "Hey, listen, we're going to be bombing Doha on Thursday. Your pilots should all take a break." So,
but apparently it was very last minute. Apparently they didn't tell.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think. Yeah, and I think Trump was probably having a McDonald's somewhere. So,
but you know what's really funny? Even if we were notified, they're not going to tell you, because America has to look like it had we didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is horrible. Yeah. Wink, wink. But it did have the desired effect where Qatar was like, "All right, you go bye now. Go bye, and they left. So. So it had the effect that it needed to have. Now the question is, will there really be peace? The problem is that nobody remembers history. They only remember the last 25, 30 years, or 1947, when Israel was like, okay, we're going to just take over this piece of land. And because it's the land we had 10,000 years ago, you took from us, we're taking it back. So instead of them all figuring out, how do we live together? They just like, oh, your pal, I hate you. Oh, well, that's nice. I mean, nobody sits there and tries to figure out how you work together, and that's I think the bigger issue.
That's the two-state deal, isn't it? But half of the world says yay, and the other half says nay.
Right.
That's the issue.
But it's not about the world. This is the thing. This is what we keep forgetting. It's about the people there. And like you say, that history shows that those people can live together. They have lived together. They have cooperated together. They've looked after each other. They've lived as communities. So why can't we go back to that? Of course, people keep interfering and messing things up. The other thing that happened after Qatar got hit by Israel, which not a lot of people have spoken about, but which I think was actually very, very significant, because those Gulf states have always gone, right, America is he's the gangster that we pay off. He's the protector, right? We pay him off, and he looks after us, and he didn't do his job. He didn't do his job because we got hit, and that was out of order. And if you noticed, a few days after that, Saudi Arabia did a deal with Pakistan. Yeah. And they did a deal with Pakistan whereby it was like a NATO-like deal. It was like, okay, if one of us gets hit, both of us get hit, and we both retaliate, which is great for Pakistan, actually, because that means that if India tries to attack Pakistan again, then Saudi Arabia has got a shit ton of money and that is going into India that can just pull at any moment. I'm sure Modi won't like that. So that's a good deal. But then also for Saudi Arabia, it's a good deal because Pakistan's a nuclear power. Then at the end of the day, you can say, right, okay, if anybody threatens Saudi, it's like, yeah, well, our mate's got nuclear weapons. So what are you going to do? So, and I thought, well, okay, that could actually spread into a GCC type NATO situation. Which would be another thing. Now, and I do think that by having this Qatar thing and by some of the Gulf states maybe growing something little bit of a tiny backbone and going, right, well, let's take control of things here, that maybe they should all step up and go, well, maybe we'll take over Gaza, we'll rebuild it, and we'll create a society where people can live together. Dubai in the UAE shows that it's perfectly possible, as I'm sure Stephen will agree with me, because you can see, people of the world. Okay, it's not the most perfect place. I know people are going to say, oh, but they got laborers. Yeah, okay, but it can work. It can be done, and they are progressing slowly.
Well, let me just say this about the laborers. Us rich people, we don't really care, because I use my laborers as my footstool. I mean, and then it's doesn't everybody, I guess. But no, I mean, listen, nothing's perfect. Even Omar, when they built and Qatar built their Olympic stuff, they use laborers. We get it. Okay, there's the have and the have-nots, and I totally understand it. The problem is that we've become a society and a globe that everybody looks like, oh, well, if you don't have, you're nothing. And so these guys that go over to other work, they're just trying to send home money to the family and whatever. Yeah. And so these governments that did their stuff, they just put them up in like shanty towns because they don't. I mean this I guess it's intended. They treat them subhuman, but they don't care. And what's interesting is, for a few extra shekels, if they treat them like humans, right, they would get more out of it, and the PR would be greater.
They don't want that because they don't want them to stay.
No, but you know what? When they're done, you pin the mittens on their little jacket and you send them home. But you can treat them like human beings. You don't have to treat them like animals.
Yeah, but this is the whole problem of immigrant workers, isn't it, all across the globe, including Europe and the UK. The moment that you give them any sense of welcome, any sense of it's okay to be here, it's okay for you to contribute, then you have a whole fleet of these sort of very liberal civil lawyers who say, "Oh, well, that they're sort of pseudo citizens." So
no, they're not pseudo citizens.
So on behalf of my client, he's paying taxes, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's contributing to society. So on behalf of my client, he should have a passport for here or for there or for wherever, and that's what governments are absolutely afraid of. And and they just they want them, but they don't. There's a huge dilemma here. Everybody, same as in the UK, when everybody came.
In the UK, it's a big problem, yeah. But here's the difference between the UK and the UAE and countries over there, especially when you talk about the labor force, because there is like a kind of, if you like, a hierarchy of immigration. So when you talk about the labor forces in those countries that are literally contracted and flown over to build stuff, there's an understanding here that you're coming over to do this, and then after that you will go back. And to be fair, okay, their living conditions may not be great, but a lot of them, the amount, it's a meager amount of money, but the amount of money they get to when they go back, they can build villas and schools and hospitals in their villages and stuff like that. So actually it's a substantial amount, but there's an understanding with that labor force that you're coming over to do this work, you're contracted to this, and then you're going back. So that's different. And I think that if you look at the UAE, where you have the expat, I know it's a hierarchy, there's like immigrants and expats, which is the same thing, but we call them expats. But the expat community is the community that's actually contributing to society, that's growing the economy, that's working, that's paying a form of tax. It's not tax in the UAE, but it's a form of tax, with the insurance and the visa costs and all the rest of it. And they're the ones that are contributing towards that, and they're the ones that are welcome to stay and welcome to contribute. Saudi Arabia, of course, has been on a different track where it's actually been getting rid of a lot of people that I know personally, families that have lived there for generations. And now it's become too expensive because they've deliberately priced them out and told them they have to go back. I know an uncle of mine is in severe depression because he is literally a Saudi. When I was a kid and we moved to Saudi Arabia, at the time he used to walk around in the Thawb and speak Arabic, and you couldn't tell the difference, and he's lived his entire life there. He was fun, he was lively, he was very energetic, he was a bit of an action man, sort of thing. And now I hear he's very ill, he's complete depression because he's been sent back to Pakistan, and he just doesn't understand what's happened to him, because he thought that was his world, that was his life. So that's where it gets cruel and bad, and that's where these things need to be addressed. But where you have the situation in the UK, again, it's very different. So a couple of days ago, I spent, I won't go into it, but I spent, for whatever reason, I spent a day in Northwick Park's hospital here in Harrow. And, you looked at the staff there, and the hospital is a typical rundown, old carbuncle of a place in the UK. But you look at the staff there, and the staff was probably about, I would say, 90% immigrant staff there. But they're so kind, so supportive, so helpful, so diligent about what they're trying to do and what they're trying to achieve, and then you think, right, okay, the old conversation that we're having in the UK right now about get rid of all the immigrants. It's like, well, you imagine they took 90% of this staff away. You'd have a hospital, that wouldn't be able to run itself and full of miserable people that weren't actually qualified to do the jobs and hated doing it. So honestly, the whole process of like get rid of immigrants, reverse progress. Why would you reverse progress? Which again goes back to the whole topic of conversation here is, we can all work. If there is going to be peace in Gaza, and if it is going to be lasting, then it is possible for people to work together to build, something that's better than what was there before.
I agree.
But you go back to the two-state issue again, because in order to do that, Palestinians have to feel that they are Palestinians and they're actually building towards their own future, and not just, just being transitional, because they're spread everywhere as well. There's a huge enclave of them in the south of Lebanon, which Lebanese don't like either. So that Yeah, they're a bit like the Kurds as regards to that. You know, the whole society.
And this is the other problem. You see,
and
and this is the other thing that I wanted to touch on a little bit, because again, when you've done this, when you spent 2 years, bombing, basically 75% of Gaza has been eradicated. It's unlivable, and I think farmland, 98% of farmland has been destroyed. Okay, even when they all go back, even when there is peace, it's like, well, there's nothing left. So what do? They're going to leave. They'll become refugees. Where are they going to end up? They're going to come to the UK. You see, you're just exacerbating the problem. You're just making it worse.
No, they're
And
going
on
to do
top of that,
exactly what Neil Diamond said. Welcome, coming to America.
yeah, well, America, UK, exactly.
Yeah.
But also the
so
other problem is you also when you do this and you talk about Hamas is terrible, they're terrorists,
Right.
they're what they did on October the 7th, it's
Right.
completely, there's no justice for it, no
Right.
justification for it at all. But what you're doing is you're creating more Hamas. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying? When you
Yeah.
do stuff like this,
Yeah.
all you think of all those orphans or all those dads that lost their families,
yeah.
or what goes through you if you lose your entire, what goes through your head? Revenge is a nasty, nasty emotion, but it's the only emotion that's left when you take away all the other
And
emotions.
they're going to say, where did it all go? And then somebody's going to tell them, and then you think, oh, okay, right. So you're just building this sort of army, which is just going to we'll go into uprising again, unless of course you give them a better future.
Exactly.
And what is the better future? Is that better future a casino on the next to the water? Is that is that a better future for them to be servants to another form of imperialism?
Yeah.
The problem is this. The problem is that the people that are trying to make the decisions for Israel and Palestine are not in Israel and Palestine. It's the United Nations. And the U.S. is part of that. Russia, China, they're all saying, here's what you should do. And Bibi, better known as Netanyahu, there was a whole thing that was done on him. He's the one creating the war. He's the one that's purposely doing this so he stays in power. There's a whole John Oliver did this whole John Oliver did this whole thing on the Daily Show showing all these investigations, and he's the one who's really the one that's keeping it there. Where most of the people in Israel are like, we could have peace, and most of the Palestinians are like, what's the problem? And then you get, to your point, Hamas, who's like, this is great, but Bibi is the one funding them. He's the one giving them arms. He's the one doing that. So it's this vicious circle. It's like it's a game. So when the guys that run countries stop playing the game, and they would go back to let the people do what needs to be done to have a peaceful coexistence, the problem then is you really don't need your leaders. Because if everything runs well, if we had a utopia, let's say Nikola Tesla back in the day, free energy, we have a utopia. I don't really need the government. That's why we joke around with Atlas 3 coming. But if they came and go, we can fix all your problems.
This is dangerous and subversive talk, Stephen. You know it.
I know, and it's a good thing I'm in Monte Carlo. But my point is, though, if you think about it, if Atlas 3 is real, let's just say it stops here. We're having dinner on Thursday night with them next Thursday, so I'm very excited. But because here in Monte Carlo, you don't need to, get toll for the car. You can just hover your aircraft, and we can go on the yacht. But if someone came and said, I can fix everything, the world leaders would be in an uproar. Meaning you can fix health, you can make everyone healthy. Here's the truth about religion. So it goes back to the Rand report of the 50s that said, if there's really an alien race, this is what the world would go nuts. I think at this point, the world would be like, okay, we're good. But the guys that are in power,
to be honest,
at
this point, we would welcome them with open arms.
Yeah, because you have Missile Boy.
No, I disagree. I don't think people would.
Really? Why?
Really?
No, because look, you're either, what do they say? You're either at the table or on the menu. So that will be what will be presented to us. Look, this alien, just this word itself, already thinks, oh, I should be scared shitless because
why?
Alien is. Yeah, well, because it's alien, Stephen. It's something you don't understand.
That's because they're small-minded people. I mean, but seriously, if an alien shows up tomorrow,
80% of the world's population follow They just follow what they're told to do because they're just busy trying to eat and
Survive.
and to keep a little bit of balance in their lives. And there's very few people who have the luxury or the opportunity to sit back and think, you know what?
Hey guys, I want to
You know,
apologize. We have a fan called calling Larry. Larry is giving us a bunch of comments here.
okay.
He says that's incorrect. 1,000 of the settlers that steals homes are not Netanyahu. He's a single man. All those destroyed the trucks. Okay, he's pro Netanyahu, which is fine. They are sick, feral, inbreed people. Okay, that won't work. What about Syria, Lebanon, Jordan? Why don't they constantly attack them too? We actually talked about that earlier, Larry. So I'm sorry you missed it. You can go back and watch the beginning of the show. On that, but I don't. I think.
But that illustrates something, doesn't it? It
Yeah.
illustrates this inability to see the other
Yeah.
as yourself, to the
Right.
inability to see a reflection. When you look back, it's like all the great science fiction episodes are
Mhm.
when the a single unit of single person or single entity of two warring factions end up on a rock together. And they find that
Yeah.
actually they have to work together and they become friends because it's the only way they can survive. And then they
Yeah.
realize actually we're not that different.
Right.
We've been told that we
Yeah.
are, but actually we're not that different. And
Yeah, if you
ultimately, I
spend your
think,
life shouting about how good you are and it's all about me, then
oh, how
lose
bad the enemy is. That's
yeah, then
actually it's not even.
you lose the ability to listen. Because I totally agree, Shadad. Yeah, if you were to actually stop and listen to other people's points
Yeah.
of view, as opposed to just jumping into it with, oh, this is it because I've been told this. No, you have to step back from it and question it and
Well, this
listen
is
to
it.
what
I
other
mean,
people say because their points of view are equally valid as
it's
yours. You
valid,
may
but again,
disagree with them.
it has to be addressed because when you say that, so for example, some people, there were statements when people said, okay, we're bombing Palestine. Is it right? And people
Right.
said, yeah, because they're all terrorists. And they got, well, they're all terrorists, all of
Right.
them.
Right.
Yeah,
All the
yeah,
men, women, and children in the
And
country are
this
terrorists.
and to calling Larry's point, he says, "What about Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, and Jordan? Why do they attack them too? Why? Oh,
Who
why do they
atta-
constantly attack them too?" Well, if
who
you read the
attacked them?
comments, you can see his whole thing. But to his point, he's correct, right? So Israel, and listen, I think Israel tries to protect themselves. Do I agree with everything they do? Most likely not. But there's a point where it's like enough is enough. But if you attack Israel, then yes. Or if you're taking hostages, Jewish hostages, I get the point why they're doing what they're doing. On the other hand of it is that none of these people ever sit down. It's kind of like the leaders, why do you want peace? Because I can get money from, the UN and this for weapons and this and that, and blah, blah. So it's this vicious circle. So I understand what he's saying. My point of this whole thing is that, but at some point, why really we can't all get along? Like if you're in Syria or Lebanon or Libya or Egypt or Jordan, what is like why can't you get along now? Whatever the history is, at some point you either have to forget the history and go, we need to move forward, which apparently, and I say this tongue in cheek about my people, the Jewish people have done very nicely because they all drive Mercedes and Porsches and whatnot. So apparently the 1940s meant nothing to them, where I know some Jews that won't touch a German product at all, and they probably never will. So it's either you have to forgive and move forward, and you can remember, or to what Larry's saying, is you're going to end up having this constant battle and you get nowhere. So, it's kind of like at the end of the day, we kind of need to give thought to what we want to do. And the problem is, going back to, if you will, Atlas 3, it doesn't behoove the church or the leaders to have peace on the planet at all. Right? Because then what do we need them for? What are you going to do? If we live in a utopia, what do I need a leader for? What are you going to do for me?
Well, it goes fundamentally back
Yeah.
to what you touched on earlier when I said that you were being subversive, and you were almost heading into the area of why are there borders, because
Yeah.
then that's ultimately you talk about when you talk about we are the human race. well, if we're the human race and this is our planet, why are there borders? You know,
Right.
then we
Well,
then
because
we all.
if you have different sorts of sheep, you have to keep them into different pens.
I mean, you have fences for the sheep, okay? Just have fences for the sheep.
Yeah.
Don't have borders for the people. But the point is that, like, you know, as Ronald
Yeah,
Reagan
but that's
said,
how we're being treated, is it not?
that's how we're being
treated.
treated. But as Ronald Reagan
Yeah.
said, that if we did realize that there was an alien entity coming to attack all of us, then how quickly the human race would unite. You know?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because this Atlas
Well-
3 rocket, NASA keeps saying, don't worry. And literally China, Russia, India, Japan are like, worry about it. And no, I don't think the people
Well,
would come
that's only
together.
because the Americans did a deal with them way back in Roswell. So that's why
That's very true. Yeah, and like I said, we're
But
having
it's
lunch on
interesting.
Thursday.
It's interesting because I sort of drop this occasionally into conversation with people, and they go, "What? Oh, that's all. That's all bollocks." So it doesn't make any difference. Even it would only be so. Oh, you look out the window. Say, oh, what's that rather large black object? Why is the
That
light?
was good acting. That was good acting, David. I thought you'd actually seen one. Seriously.
And then the response is Shaquille O'Neal is a large black object. So there you go. So
yeah.
Listen, I love the Shaq. Everything I've read and seen about this guy.
He's going to come around. He'll sink your boat, Stephen. So you better.
Let me tell you, he is from what I from. Yeah, of course we're on the yacht. It's a bigger yacht. I will tell you this: everything I've ever read, everything I've ever read about this guy and seen about him, he is the nicest guy with the wildest sense of humor. So he'll, of all people, would appreciate that joke. But he's somebody that it would just be.
They say the same thing about God. Because
I'm sorry, one more time.
Is he the guy that has to have cars made for him because he's too big to fit in any
He's
car?
like 7'7" or something. Yeah, he's huge.
So I think so. If I remember correctly, was he the guy that the Corvette just had to build an extended Corvette for him?
I want to say yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up. I want to say yes because I think there was somebody just had a Corvette was literally cut and extended just so that.
It would sound like something he would have to do because he's enormous.
You could buy that. You could buy the cut Corvettes anywhere, any sort of backstreet car dealer.
I was just going to say, there's a chop shop around the corner here in Monte Carlo. You're more than welcome to come try it out.
They'll just chop anything, mate.
So, but I mean, if you think about this, at some point, like we keep talking about, the 7 billion people are going to want to take a picnic, and they're going to be like, enough is enough. So. I think if this Atlas A37,
what does it take? What does it take? I mean, we've had this
utopia.
It was Shaquille O'Neal. 2025, the new Corvette, the mid-engine one. He's 7'1". They had to stretch the car by 20 inches. Imagine taking an exotic supercar, cutting it and extending it by 20 inches so that he can fit in it and drive it. But hey, that's cool. That's pretty cool. But yeah, back to the point. It's like, what will it take? Because we've had these massive protests, obviously, since we had now what UN terms a genocide in Gaza. Right. We've had massive protests, but equally we've had protests against those protests. So it's not like it's not like the world. It's not like almost like back in the Vietnam War when there was kind of a very strong feeling that was the wrong thing to do, and there wasn't like a pro and an against. It was a strong feeling against. But this time there's always a for and against on everything.
I think to your point, I think you need.
War is because you could watch the body bags coming off the planes when you're having your breakfast. That's
the difference. They don't show that anymore. They don't show
you're not getting flooded by a constant influx of Palestinians.
No, because remember back in the day, Walter Cronkite would be on the news. Walter Cronkite would be on the news, and he would say the body count today in Vietnam was X, and then they'd show, to David's point, the bodies coming off the plane. Today, we are so unattached. So whether you see it on YouTube or TikTok, or you see it on the news, you read it in the paper, people are just sort of like, oh, okay, because there's so much technology and so much social media that hits you every second of your life if you wanted to, that there's no effect. Remember, when we were all growing up, when something like that happened, it would be, oh, we're watching the news at 6 o'clock. Look at this. So that was totally different. Right, because you only got the news once a day, not 24/7.
Based on what you're saying, was there not a parallel to that a couple of years ago? Because we used to, when we had COVID, we were doing an official world body count at the time, weren't we?
There were all these charts. We didn't care.
You weren't. In the UK, we were like getting daily reports of how many people were.
In America, we were going to Vegas and betting the over/under. So what do you think the body count is today, Stan? 75. Okay. It was over under 3-1 odds. He did well. So yeah,
Yeah, but again,
it's
it's the
just,
same thing. We're watching body bags in New York. It's
yeah.
like, oh look, they've run out of space, so we just stack them up outside.
Yeah.
And what difference did that make? None. I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
every day it's so many people get killed in Gaza. Oh, all right. And
well,
that's just it. You just move
A
on.
school, a
Or
school, a school full of children.
or
It was
yeah.
Rex
yeah,
just
and
recently. Yeah.
Or
but the
But
problem with
the
that is,
Russian
even with
children.
the COVID, you would have
right,
thought that if we had that global sense that, oh my God, all these people are dying, all these body
yeah,
bags, the number is going up. We want the vaccine has come through, and yet even at that point till now, we have the people that were against the vaccine and all the
right.
conspiracy theories about the vaccine. And I'm like, okay, maybe the vaccine was rushed, maybe it was rushed, maybe it had side effects, but God damn, thank the Lord we got the vaccine, because otherwise, that was terrible.
Well, yes
Yeah.
and no. The problem is, here's how I look at this. We are so desensitized because of this.
Mm.
Remember, 30, 40 years ago, you had your mobile phone, but it didn't really become your television, your media. It wasn't any of that, right? As a phone, you called, I get to talk to somebody.
Yeah,
Now,
I think 40 years ago you're being optimistic, but I think
all right, it was
30,
20
maybe
years ago.
25
Yeah.
years, 30 years
But,
ago,
so,
maybe.
but
Yeah.
my point is, because of the phone, because of this mobile phone, and because of the iPads, and because of this, and because of that, you are so desensitized. You could
Mm.
literally wipe out a whole country, which people do. And people are
Yeah.
like, to calling Larry's point, nobody cares. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's like,
If you think about how we've changed, because if you think about how the impact that, for example, that report had, in the 80s when they highlighted famine in Africa, and it spurred on somebody like Bob Geldof to create the
Yeah,
greatest
right,
lively.
concert the
Yeah.
world had ever seen, and that one image had made him go and do that. And now we're getting all of these images, some
nobody
some
cares.
stuff that I don't want to even see. I mean, literally, like you
Yeah.
go, oh, I don't want to see that. That's horrible. All of this stuff, and yet it doesn't have any impact. And of course, now we've got AI, so probably half the people are looking at it going, "Oh, that's AI," and it's you
Yeah,
can't tell the
well,
difference anymore.
isn't that convenient? And
Yeah, I'm telling you,
it
it's
just adds to this this intellectual heroin which we
yeah,
get pumped through us every
Yeah,
day, and you think, okay, yeah, I mean, the default now by us in the house, because I do this and that does all those stuff as well. The default is, oh, it's AI, and then you
right.
sort of think, well, okay, maybe it's not.
mm,
But that's like the last 3 or 4 months. That's the
yeah,
that's AI.
It,
Oh, there must
it,
be
it,
AI.
but it still goes back, forgetting the AI crap, it still goes back to its sensory overload, right? So
Yes.
when the fan wrote what they just wrote earlier, and we talked a little bit about it, to his point, we overlook all that, right? And there's wars going on in Africa, and there's wars going on in the Middle East. We don't really
Everywhere.
care about what's in the press. It's just sensory overload. That's why I say, if
it's
you go
human.
back into like the 60s and 70s and 80s, before you had 12 million channels and you had 24-hour news, you had Walter Cronkite, Roger Mudd, Peter Jennings, whatever you watched here in the States, or BBC with your all three channels that you used to have. That was it. Like, you got your news at, like, in the morning, you got the 12 o'clock local news, and it's 7 o'clock at night, you got the national, global, here's
Yeah,
what's going on. And then you went to PBS for the Wall Street Journal report, and you were done. You had the
mm,
news of the day. Now you have
it's
a
constant.
sensory overload. You see, to your points,
Yeah,
you see famine, death, destruction every single second of every single day, because they push it out, because that's what sells papers. And people are to the point like, yeah, I don't care. To your point also, if A316724 shows up, I think people are going to care to a point, but I don't think people are going to care to, like, well, what are they here for? Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, and
Exactly.
if they're friendly,
So
it's good, like, great.
are we in danger of feeding our own negatives? Because even with the news, even something like BBC, you see, like, okay,
Yeah,
they'll go, all right, ceasefire in Gaza,
right,
great, and immediately they go to an expert like, yeah, this is not going to work because
right.
and it's like, you immediately, you've got, like, can we just live in the positive? No, we'll immediately go to the negative and go, no, it's not going to
Right.
happen. It's not going to, and are we just driving too much of that negativity? Then is that the problem? It's like, have we become so numb to the realities of the suffering of humanity that we just like to feed on the negativity
No, I mean,
instead.
what's important is the latest trend on TikTok, and my.
Oh, you on TikTok, David? Wow.
That's the most important thing in most people's lives, honestly. Because go on any metro, any train, any bus, sit in any canteen in any factory. Talking, what's that? Now, there's a generation of people who don't know how to do that, and they just
the younger generation are all getting their news from TikTok.
And let me just let me just read what Larry is saying here. He's saying this is the reason they can't have peace, and they're at war. People are always at war, and I'm assuming it's the context of what we're talking. He says 3,000 of these gone are kids. He's talking about people killed. And he says that's you're asking why they can't get along. So yeah, I see that point, but that's my point, right?
I don't get it. What does that mean? What did he mean?
He's saying 3,000. We were talking about what's going on, like in the Middle East, where you're talking about Gaza and Hamas and the whole 9 yards. He said 3,000 of the those gone are kids. I'm assuming he's talking that the kids were killed. So he says when you ask why they can't get along, that's why he's saying that's one of the reasons, because people are holding, the grudge against you. You killed my child, but that goes. And he probably missed the beginning of the show where we said we talked about that. You're breeding a whole new X, whatever X might be, whether it's Hamas or this or that. Yeah. We spoke about that. But listen, we like to acknowledge when we do a live show, if someone writes a comment, we like to acknowledge.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's good. It's
good. Yeah, so I understand. I understand this point 100%.
But that's the point, isn't it? That you kill mine, I'll kill yours. That's human nature, right? Yeah. And unfortunately, in order to move forward, just propagates. That doesn't stop. That's the problem with that is it doesn't stop. It just propagates, and it gets worse. At some point, we have to go. Sorry, David. At one point, we just have to go. Can we just stop now? Can we just reset? And can we decide?
In order to move forward from this point, we have to stop using words like genocide and massacres. And and this and that. You just have to say, look, well, let's not even put it into the narrative, and then talk about, okay, what can we do? How can we, let's look at the positive side of it, because looking back is the most dangerous, toxic thing you can do. It's mutually destructive. That's what it is, and it goes back to that episode of Star Trek with the beings that were lined down the middle, half black, half white. And they literally, when they got them back to their planet, they had destroyed each other simply because the black and the white was reversed on these two different tribes, and they couldn't see it. And the crew of the ship could see it. They were like, "We don't get it. You're the same people. Why have you just mutually annihilated yourselves?" And that's ultimately, if we do keep doing it, you kill mine, I kill yours, you kill mine, if we keep doing that, then we escalate to that, unless at some point we go, stop. Can we just stop? And can we just sit down and go, right, we're not doing this anymore. Let's build instead of destroying, In many respects, that's what Nelson Mandela tried to do, But I mean, South Africa is not, is not the poster boy of how we would like the world to be. But they certainly showed us that, that if you, that it can be done. There is a starting point. There's a starting point, and that's what we need, I think, in the Middle East. We need a starting point. And honestly,
you're right, David. Look, there are examples in history. We were at the Second World War with Germany, and now we all drive German cars. Japan, now we all drive Japanese cars. Ireland, So there are examples. There are examples in history where yes, we can do it. It is possible. Right. It is possible.
But to calling Larry's point, he brings up a lot of good points as well. And actually, it's too bad we can't have him on the show, because I'd like to hear his point of view on it, because he sounds like he's passionate, which is always good.
He's welcome. He's welcome.
He's welcome to come. But unfortunately, boys, as you know,
your train. I didn't know that steam trains in Monaco.
Steam trains here in Monaco. It's just the way it works.
Is that the Orient Express? Is that the Orient Express?
No, it's actually the train. It's actually the train that Steve has on the super yacht.
On the super yacht, yes, I have my own train. It's how I get from one end of the yacht to the other end of the yacht.
How the cocktails get to you. So how the
cocktails get to me. It's what we do. That's what we do. Yes, what we do.
They're all driven by little Filipino boys, so he's a happy man.
Oh,
Whoa. No, they're all little Thai girls. Thank you very much. I have standards. Anyway, kids, we know this was a controversial show. We hope you enjoyed it. And to Calling Larry, thank you. You made valid points. If you'd like to come on next month on Sermon on the German and you want to discuss it, we would love to have you. We always make that offer to people. You can reach out to the show.
Have to put his details in.
No, you can reach out to the show. You can just email us at the show. Yeah, just email us at the show. We could do that. Don't forget to subscribe and like. We'll be back in November with a different topic, unless Calling Larry wants to come on the show and discuss this one in detail. We'd love to hear his point of view.
If not, by then.
Well, because of the aliens, right?
We'll have an exclusive interview with one of the aliens off that ship that's coming in. So.
We can only hope. And for you guys that want to see more of us, I don't know why, check out the channel. Get us wherever. Yeah, I know that's the face I make too. Don't forget to subscribe and like. You can check out our podcast under Tool Farts Making Noises. There, Brown Car Guy right there. If you want to check out his content, if you're into cars, you can buy one of his 1,700 books that he's written. And I think I wrote a review for one, which is actually pretty good using crayons. And we have the music on our channel. We have our Instagrams. You're more than welcome to show up at. But if you have a discerning point of view and want to come on the show, we'd love to have you. And that's it, kids. We are gone until next month. Or I should say Brown Car Guy, as David and I will be back next week with No Snobs or Knobs, where we give you the dumbest news in the world. And that's it. Let's all help. We have peace, love, and happiness. And as a famous man once said, why can't we all get along? We'll see everybody next month. Cheers, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.